What's going on, fight fans? This is Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Rob Jarrell, and this is my recap to this weekend's doubleheader that was featured on DAZN, featuring the heavyweight debut of Alexander Usyk versus Chaz Witherspoon, and the Russian Dmitry Bivol defending his WBA light heavyweight title versus Lenin Castillo out of the Dominican Republic. So I did shoot a preview for this weekend's fights, but to be honest, I really wasn't expecting much from the fight, so I just totally forgot to post it on YouTube. That's my bad. And it pretty much went how I thought it was going to go. I'm going to start with the Usyk Witherspoon fight, is because I expected the least from that fight. Alexander Usyk was supposed to face Tyrone Spong, but unfortunately, Tyrone Spong was popped for PEDs. I think it was clemifene or however you want to say it, but it was a fertility drug that actually John Jones was popped with not too long ago. So instead of that, we had Chaz Witherspoon stepping in to take this fight on short notice. And to be honest, I didn't expect much. I expected Alexander Usyk to take his time in the first few rounds, fill it out, see how he feels at heavyweight with his movement, punching against a guy who you really can't even say his name. To be honest, his biggest profile fights he's lost against Tony Thompson and Seth Mitchell, and until then, he's just been fighting club fighters, staying relatively busy, waiting to get a call up to fight somebody. Unfortunately, it was Usyk, but hey, whatever puts you on TV. All right, so what I thought would happen would be that Usyk would just use his superior pedigree, movement, speed to just take his time and just overwhelm Witherspoon. Unfortunately, Witherspoon, to me, wasn't going to provide but so much resistance. He's older, really doesn't have that much speed, decent skills, but never really looks to be in any real kind of shape. And you could tell in this fight the difference between the condition between the two guys. Sometimes that helps other guys, but Chaz Witherspoon is not Adam Kalnaki or Andy Ruiz. He just isn't. He doesn't have the hand speed, the pedigree, or the time and balance to really compete with a guy like Usyk. And that's what we got. Chaz Witherspoon was throwing that pawing jab out there against Usyk. Not really setting up too much or throwing anything of consequence. And you could tell that he was very wary of any kind of return fire from Usyk. Usyk, coming out of that Ukrainian school of boxing that's produced a lot of great fighters. I mean, we're talking him, Lomachenko, Alexander Gvozdyk, guys that really fight well. Sergey Derevchenko. So in this fight, from that southpaw stance, he just provided a lot of problems. I mean, his movement, he was on his toes, really moved around the ring well, moved towards right, and a lot of times when Witherspoon was throwing his punches, especially that jab, he was never really providing any kind of resistance against Usyk. Usyk will punch aside his jab and like really test different looks out. Moving to his right, punching not on the outside, moving to the outside, but moving to the inside and landing his own jab, landing that right hand and really not pressing too hard. Once the sixth round started, that's when he really started to let his hands go and say, hey, let me go ahead and get this guy out of here, because he's not really giving me any kind of push. To be honest, Tyrone Spong, who, if you know about kickboxing and mixed martial arts, is kind of like a who's who in the kickboxing world. World champion, more than likely a Hall of Famer of kickboxing, stellar record. The only reason he really moved to mixed martial arts and boxing is because he did break his leg on the leg kick. And if you ever done a leg kick on a bag, someone else's leg, wooden pole, that shit hurts. And to be honest, that's how he broke his leg. And he probably was like, okay, I'm done getting kicked in the leg at heavyweight and light heavyweight. Let me move on to boxing where I don't have to have that problem. If I'm not mistaken, he was about 14-0 and would have been a good test for Usyk, but he really didn't have the challenge at boxing like he's had at kickboxing. So hopefully he gets that cleared up, and maybe we see him in the next year if he doesn't face a really long suspension. But in the 6th and 7th round, he was just Usyk was just starting to let his hands go, really landing at will. And after that 7th round, Chaz Witherspoon didn't come out. He was just starting to take way more punishment than he really needed to. And I mean, that was that. What can we say? I hope to see him soon, maybe before the end of the year. Well, it's October. Let's say January, February. Hopefully he's in versus a credible opponent, maybe a top 20, top 25 opponent. Like a Gerald Washington or just somebody. Somebody. That's all I can say. I can't think of any names right now that I would really put him in against, but somebody. Arthur Spilka, if he's okay. Just going from there. But then the other co-main event was Dmitry Bivol out of Russia taking on Leonid Castillo, who is a former Olympian out of the Dominican Republic. Leonid Castillo is a good fighter. He's just not a top-tier fighter. He took on Marcus Brown, I want to say roughly a year ago, in which he scored a knockdown versus Marcus Brown. It really took him to, if I'm not mistaken, a split decision on television. So he was a guy out there that could provide plenty of resistance for Bivol, who to me was looking to stay busy until he got a really big fight. We know Canelo is fighting Sergey Kovalev. We know that Artur Beterbiev is fighting Alexander Gvozdyk. So those are two fights that he's probably going to wait to see what happens with, unless he wants to take on a John Pascal again, who beat Marcus Brown. Jesse Hart. Not Gilberto Ramirez. If anyone wants to move up, yeah, Gilberto Ramirez. If he decides that, I think he moved up to 175 from 168. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm getting my names mixed up. Or even if he takes on the David Benavidez, who is at 168 and decides that he wants to move up. So that's what we're looking at. Dmitry Bivol, I'm really impressed with this guy because to me his style is pretty simplistic. If you watch other Russians, one being Sergey Kovalev, they're straight back and forth, not a whole lot of lateral movement, but their jab is a fencer-like jab where they're going to put it out there and they can aim head, body, and it's very straight, it's very powerful, it's very heavy. And he uses it well. I would say just as well as Kovalev than anyone else because he gives you a lot of looks. He keeps his right hand ready to defend or set to punch. So he'll give you a look upstairs, go downstairs, or he'll throw that jab out there. I don't think he's quite as forceful where Kovalev can really hurt you with, but it's heavy enough where he can set you up and keep you at home, what he did with Leonid Castillo. Castillo, on the other hand, really would let his hand go when Bivol got maybe a little too close. Bivol wants to operate from the outside to mid-range, and he wants to be able to set up his right hand, and he could throw left hook off that jab. But because he doesn't have a lot of lateral movement, Leonid Castillo can push him back with his firing back. And like I said, he wants to be able to push Bivol back, and which he did at points, but not enough to really hurt or land cleanly on Bivol. And to be honest, Bivol would let his hand go at points where it would be 4 and 5 punch combinations on Castillo, but then he might take a counter punch for his troubles. And he caught him with a really good left hook upstairs after Bivol was done with his combination. And Bivol landed some great shots. He would 1-1-2 forward to the body, throw a left hook to the body, throw a left hook upstairs, but in throwing that left hook, he may drop his right hand, and that's where Leonid Castillo really let his hands go. And Leonid Castillo is also not afraid to jab with Bivol. So him being a somewhat crafty fighter, somewhat well-conditioned fighter, not afraid to fight, he provided enough resistance to allow Dmitry Bivol to go rounds. Bivol did knock him down in the 6th round. Again, utilizing that jab, putting out there, giving certain looks. And when he thinks that, when Leonard Castillo thinks that he can counter, Bivol is ready to take a half step back or just lean back a little bit and fire his right hand over the jab of Castillo, or countering the jab of Castillo, and he really let loose and hurt Castillo. But Castillo recovered very well. I mean, a lot of guys like Sullivan Barrera would have went down and possibly stayed down with that punch. Castillo got up, recovered quickly. You can see in his face he was more upset that he got caught than actually being hurt, but his legs wobbled. So, but he was able to make it out of the round and make the fight at least somewhat, I'm not going to say competitive, but again, provide a resistance and let him know that he was going to be here to fight. So I was very impressed with Bivol. I know he's looking for one of those big fights. It's going to be on DAZN. They may partner with PBC. Who knows? I'm hoping that he gets a big fight against one of those 4 guys, or maybe a Marcus Brown, maybe a rematch for with John Pascal, who beat Marcus Brown. Maybe Sullivan Barrera will come back much better, a lighter Alvarez, somebody, or maybe a name coming up. So that's all I got for you guys today. Again, I talked about it. Alexander Gvozdyk is facing Artur Beterbiev next week. Hakeem's going to bring you the preview for that fight. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, smash that subscribe button so you can catch all our updates what we bring for future fights, technical toolboxes, anything that we decide that we want to talk about on this channel that we would like to bring to you, and you see that we have it. Share with your friends. Hit us up in the comment section. Hit us up on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+. All of it's Capital Combat, capitalcombat@gmail.com. And until next time, fight.
This is round 1 and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming.